All right. Okay. Good morning. And first of all, Assalamualaikum and good morning to all of you. And I would like to say thank you for attending this webinar, especially Sir Ramesh. So for today, I am your moderator. You can just call me Anna. And we have four panelists for today. We have Amira, we have Shaza Husna, we have Fahmi, and we have Azan. So our theme for today is called Education. And we're going to discuss the, uh, a very huge topic, which is the importance of sex education in early age. So before that, I would like to explain a little bit what is exactly sexual education. So in sex education, actually we have sexual activities. We learn about human sexual anatomy, how to use a birth control, safe sex, sexual health, and most importantly, consent. Back in my high school, we learned this one subject, physical education and health. In my class, we separated between girls and boys. Okay, so in my class, in girl class, we learn about breast cancer, how to check all the symptoms, is there any lumps, and that thing is also part of sex education. So now we're going to dig more about what is exactly sex education. So now I will pass the next segment to our first panelist, Miss Amira, and she will be discussing about what is exactly sex education.
Hello, hi everyone. I'm Nur Amira as a panelist one. Okay, so today I want to share some information about the what is sex education and what the type of sex education. Okay, firstly, what is sex education? Sex education is the one of the process to provide information about the sexual techniques, practices, and health or homosexuality. So there are a few elements that must covered in sexual education, which is puberty, menstruation, contraception, condoms, sexual violence prevention, sexual orientation, gender identify, and also body image. Okay, so what the type of sex education? Okay, the type of sex education has the three type. Okay, first is abstinence. In this part of abstinence, we can teach children to wait until they are adult to start engage with sexual relationship. Okay, we also can explain to them a few technique about to say not to sex and to and avoid in sexual activity. Okay, for the second is health and safety. For the second is health and safety oriented. Okay, in this part, we can teach student and explain more to them about the mechanism of sex, such as a bit of control and a sexual concerns. Okay, we also focus on physical well-being. And student who receive the children who receive the sex education actually more willing to defend themselves about the sex. Okay, and the third is comprehensive. In comprehensive, one of the aim is want to focus on the physical and emotional aspect of sex. And comprehensive also help to reduce the percentage of teenager about the pregnancy case. Okay, so in this part also we can teach them and give them knowledge about condom and contraception to reduce the risk of unintended pregnancy, including HIV. Okay, the last word. The last word from me. Please use the concept. Don't wait until them ask sex question, but play our role to give them sex education and knowledge. Sex education and knowledge. So when they start ask sex question, please answer the question correctly and avoid to make answer that to make them certified for the question. Okay, thank you for me.
Thank you, Miss Amira. Okay, to recap back, actually, sex education is a practices, okay? Practices, we learn about human sexualities, puberty, and menstruation and everything. And like Miss Amira said that, we also have three types of sex education. The first one, abstinence, which focus more about fundamental of sex, and health and safety, which focus more about health, safety, well-being, and more, and comprehensive, focus more about physical and emotional. So now we already know what is exactly sex education. Next, we want to know why sex education should be compulsory in early age. So I will pass the next segment to Mr. Fahmi for him to explain this topic.
Hi, and very good morning to all of you. I'm Fahmi Nordin, panelist 2. Uh, in this session, I will explain to you why sex education should be compulsory to early age. Okay. First, many modern fear about sexual. My modern parents fear about sexual assault and rape. No parents want their child becoming a victim or a perpetrator of sexual assault. And that's been early lesson about consent crucial. But that doesn't mean the lesson need to be threatening or panic induction. In fact, those discussions don't don't even need to be about sex. Consent is basically permission to do something now or and an agreement to be able to do something to be able to do something later. Okay. First, teaching a child about consent means teaching them about boundaries. So, establish boundary in the home and natural consequence when those boundaries are crossed. Second, explicit lesson about physical boundaries can begin as soon as children are becoming curious about their bodies. Uh, Third, lesson around physical boundaries start simple with reinforcing the idea that no means no, and those children are not allowed to touch another person without permission. Okay. Next, parents need to respect their boundaries too, like not tickling, hugging, kissing, or wrestling their children when they say no. If the children are struggling to understand, because the lesson in the idea of asking permission, which may easier for some kids to understand. For example, when a child asks if they can eat cookies or watch a show, a parent might give consent by saying yes. If not, the kid is obliged to respect the boundaries or face the natural consequence. Okay, let's go through with one situation uh, that's the children in primary school, which uh, primary school were playing a game or uh, playing a couple game. Like today, we all know most of the kids have their own gadget like phone and tablet, so they already explore the content on the internet. Like kissing and hugging scenes was normal to them. So I want to explain why this sex education should be compulsory because to protect their boundaries. We know that children learning from what they see. So if we so okay, for example, like joking or playing with their friends from different genders, like hugging or kissing without no that was wrong. Moreover, of course, we know that all parents at home want to know that their children are doing or learning in school. So some of their story to their parents went back to home like they are playing couple games or kissing or hugging. This going to be worse if another parents report about this to authority. So we can see that if the children don't have sex education, they cannot differentiate between which are right or wrong. Okay, that's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fahmi. Okay, like I said during my introduction, consent is very important, And to summarize back, so Mr. Fahmi explained the concept of consents and also boundaries. Also, and I would like to give one more example. For example, a father and a daughter, or maybe a sons. Okay, even though we have a family relationship, if your children say no, then means no, because it means that your children already set the boundaries over there. Okay, so you can't just think that, oh, I'm a father, so I can do whatever I want with my children. So no, there's a boundary between both of you. Okay, same goes to the couples, married couples, and so on. So we already know why, we want to know when. Okay, so when sex education should be delivered. So I'll be passing these segments to Shaza Husna, for her to explain this topic.
Okay, thank you, Miss Anna Christina. And hi, everyone. So my name is Shaza Usna, and I'm going to explain deeply about when sex education can be delivered to the children at early age. So the first point, we have to know, as adult, we have to know what age is suitable to expose sexual education to the children. So we have to know the specific age, such as 0 to 3 years old. We have to teach children about their body and teach the children to know every part of the every part of the body and the function of the body. As example, they have to teach the children what is the function of the hands, what is the function of the head, the legs, and every part of our body we have to explain to the children, because age is the most important factors to influence our children about sex education. And between 4 to 5 years old, we have to give briefly explanation to the children on where they are coming from and where they get into the uterus. And at this age, parents' responsibilities, which is parents cannot be lie, cannot feel ashamed about it, and they have to explain correct information to the children. So next, as we know, government has been stated that they prefer sex education from primary school student, because from primary school student, this is the best age to expose to them about sex education. And this is because mostly of the primary school students, they are depending on several factors, which is about their intellectual development, about their emotional, about their behaviors, about their physical, and the most important, they are more depending on their level of understanding. So from primary school, when we expose sex education to them, it might help the children to get some idea when they get growing up, when they get hit puberty, and the effectiveness of the education is more relevant. So next, I'm going to talk about parents' responsibilities, which is parents are responsible to know when they have to expose sex education to the children. So as we know, sexual education must be teach from home, which is parents are responsible and they have to deliver sex education to the children with full of confidence, and they have to provide correct information about sex education. So by providing sex education, it might help the children to know about sexual problems, about sexual harassment, and may help them to prevent from being a victim of sexual harassment. So, as conclusion, parents must play their role effectively, and they have to give some idea to the children on how sex education work, and it may help them and the children from being a victim of sexual harassment and sexual assault. So that's all from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Miss Tuna. Okay, to summarize back, so Miss Tuna explained about the age, the suitable age for adults to introduce the sex education. So basically, it goes age by age. You know, this age, body part should be introduced. This age, the name of the body part should be introduced, and so on. And Miss Chaza also explained that a primary school is a preferred way to expose about sex education and all. And most importantly, parents are responsible to deliver a very correct information so that the children know what is right, what is wrong, so they know if they're in the situation, you know, like sexual harassment, sexual assault and all. So now we already know when, so now we want to know where can these children use sex education. So I'll be passing this segment to Azan.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator, Ms. Aina. Hi, everyone. I am Azian, the last panelist for today. Okay, I will explain to you where can we use sex education. Okay, first of all, the parents. The parents is the huge roles in their children life that the parents need to teach their kids to protect themselves by knowing about their body and the system in their body. At home, parents can teach their kids to be careful with whoever in the house, even though there are relative examples. We heard a lot about incest cases in the family. The father, the brother, even though the grandfather rape the kids in the family. It's not about the gender. The kids can be a girl or a boy that be raped by this man or even though a woman. Alright. Besides, at school, a teacher have a huge role to deliver and to be a good educator for this sex education. Students should know either the teacher is telling them the sex joke or rape joke or any kind of jokes that lead to the sexual harassment. From this sex education, they know how to differ the bad behavior from the teacher and their friends. So they will protect by this knowledge and they use sex education to protect themselves from being the victim of the sexual harassment and sexual victim, such as rape, any kind of sexual harassment. In society, sex education, we need to educate the society uh, to, to educate the society, tell them that I think that being a taboo for long periods, such as a menstrual cycle,
Sorry,
cannot.
Azian, sorry,
Yes.
your mic is going on and out. Some points I'm missing out your point. Can you just hold it a bit, maybe a bit closer? Yeah. Thank you.
Alright. Okay. Sorry, sir. Okay. I explain it back about in society we need to educate them about the thing that we call it as a taboo for a long time, for a long period, such as talking about menstrual cycle openly, and which is it is not an embarrassing matter that we need to hide it from our kids, from our children. It is menstrual cycle is a normal system and a normal cycle in our life, uh, which if you want to having a kid, if you want to planning a family planning about your financial, about your family, you need to know about the menstrual cycle from for your wife, for your kids. All right. So we need to educate the society to not be embarrassed to talk about menstrual cycle openly. Other than that, educate the society to understand more about the sex education, which include family planning for married couple. Family planning is important nowadays to make sure a stable finance plan in our life. So, sex education is need to not the sexual activity only, but the finance planning about your family. And yeah, we know that kids nowadays is so expensive to have them in our life. So sex education is important, which you can know when or where you need to plan your sexual activity with your wife or your husband, and how to use condoms as birth control, so you can manage your family to be a good family. So with that, I thank you.
All right, thank you, Miss Azian. So basically, Miss Azian said that with the sex education, the knowledge about that education, the kids are able to protect themselves. In some situation, for example, sexual harassment or maybe incest. So like I said before, they know what is right, what is wrong. So when they know what is wrong, they immediately say no, or maybe they run, because they already know what is actually the frame of sex education. Okay, and in schools, like Azan says, teachers play a very huge role to deliver these educations. Uh, I don't know if you guys know, but last year we have this case about Ain Husniza, about her teacher, her physical education and health teacher make a rape joke in the class. So I think that is one of the example. Because as a teacher you need to deliver a good manner. As a teacher, right? And at home, parents, adults are the only one the kids have. So you should act as an adult, yeah, you should act like them. So you need to protect your kids. Especially incense case. There's a lot of incense case. Okay, and also society. I hope the society be more open-minded about this sex education, because when we say about sex education, if it's inappropriate to talk about that. No, sex education is actually more than sexual activity. Okay, we learn about birth control, about safe sex, and all. And family planning is also in sex education. Okay, so now we already know what, we already know why, when, and where. So now we are open for question and answer session. Is there any questions and answer? A question you can just put in the chat box.
Please ask questions. I would like to hear some questions before I ask questions.
Okay, so
Everyone is so silent. Okay, fine. I just want to clarify a few things first before I go to my questions. Amira, you were talking about abstinence. And you said at one point, defend themselves. I did not quite understand your point. Amira, can you check your points back? You said children can defend themselves. Meaning what? They mean as in defend themselves from... Yeah, I didn't get that part, Amira.
Okay. For the point is, I want to share. Uh, in our cycle life, we everyday communicate and saying a lot of people. So maybe some of the people that we communicate and meet has a has a has a has a has a uh, something
It's okay, Amira, don't worry. I just wanted to get an idea. Thank you, Amira, don't worry. Okay, my next question. Who had the idea to have this topic? Can I know whose idea was it, or was it a group effort, or
Is I think it's a group decision, but I think it came from ASEAN also.
okay, Azian, can I ask you a few questions then? Um,
Okay.
I'm very sorry.
why the
Sure, sure,
topic, and why do you think it's important? You you did explain, but personally, why you think it's important to highlight this matter?
Because I don't know. I heard a lot about something like people not knowing that it a joke about rape or any sex any sex what activity jokes is not a joke. I can see that from my friends say that uh, she being sexual harassment by telling the jokes at the office and make her uncomfortable in the office. So and then about the if you heard about Libres, they had make a pet that have a vagina as a
The
flower.
design, the batik design, yeah.
Yes, the batik design. So I thought that is not an embarrassing thing that we need to hide because the vagina as a woman, you know, there is a lot of types. There are few types of vagina that women have. Then this not being happen in Malaysia only. In overseas also happen that people said this type of vagina is not is uh, literally having a sex for few years or maybe
Yeah.
dia jadi
I,
macam tu.
I,
So
I
like that.
carry on.
Okay, so for me, we need to educate people. Like, oh yeah, from my personal experience, there is a people say about women in Asia, or maybe women Malay people, or maybe Malaysian people that have uh, dark nipple that they see in porn there is a pink nipple, so they thought everyone get the pink nipple. So it's some people get divorced about that by
Yeah.
that. So I think there's education is important, even though about the gender of the kids. Every some people like make the wife being guilty about their gender, about their kids' gender. So that I think that sex education is really important to our society.
Azian, what program are you taking, Azian?
Biology, sir.
But are you going to be a teacher?
Yes.
You will be a very good teacher, Azian. I believe that. You know, I respect you for bringing out this topic, and I think this is a very important topic. You know, and our society is we are still rather shy about this, and that needs to change. And yeah, for me personally, I believe this is a very good topic, and I'm very happy that you brought this up. And I hope all of you here, you won't be uh, like parents from the before generation where they were shy, they were not equipped with this, and also people outside there where they get their information from pornography, and instead of getting proper education about it. And Azian brought up some very good points. Okay, there's a question, I think. Oh yeah, please. What?
Yes, Miss Azrina.
Yeah, Azrina, just switch on your mic and ask the question.
Okay, just a second. Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Sorry.
I can hear you.
Okay, I just want to ask, what part of sex education that should be taught in primary school? Because I can actually see that primary school students be taught about after pills, condoms, and all that stuff.
Okay, is there any panelists who volunteer to answer?
I will
Yeah.
answer your question, Azrina. So, in primary school, um, we have to teach children about sex education, such as they can get menstruation when they grow up. It's not about they have to know the condoms and everything about the sex activity. We have to briefly explain to them what they need to handle when they get puberty, and that's all. It's not broadly about the sex activity.
Zian, you want to add on?
And
Yeah, yeah.
I want to add something like actually there is sex education in PJK, Pendidikan Jasmani and Kesihatan. There, there is there, but some people are not even care about that. So yeah, we need to more like we need this like that.
Yes.
I agree with what's on the. To answer Azrina's question, like Shaza said, you need about menstruation. You need to learn about consent from the beginning. The majority of cases of sexual assault involving children, there are a lot of cases involving children. So you have to teach them consent, what is bad touch, what is good touch, and those kind of things that kids needs to be exposed. I understand Azrina's concern of you're teaching primary kids about condom and whatnot. I think there should be a proper syllabus lined up. Actually, there is a syllabus lined up and integrated and taught to students well. Anyway, it's a very thought-provoking one. I hope one day, because some of you are already parents, I know, and if you are planning to get married and you're planning to have kids, please plan out things. Have this idea when your kids ask what you're going to tell them. You don't want your father, let's say you become parents, the father telling another story, mother telling another story, and be frank with your kids. They have to understand these things. And um, going through life, I have seen some cases. I don't want to talk about it, but some things that should not have happened, and I believe these things would have been avoided if sex education was talked about and it's not a taboo anymore. Yeah. Yeah, so any other questions, anything else?
Sir, may I answer again your question?
Oh, okay, sure. Okay,
Okay.
sure.
For the point to willing to defend themselves, they actually want to them to defend themselves about the someone we call the pedophile. So pedophile is
Oh,
the
okay.
someone that we know like to make children as their victim of the sex activity. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I was actually asking. I was a bit confused when you said different. I was thinking you're going to join some karate class and whack those people. But yeah, I get the idea what you're trying to say. Okay. Any other questions for the panelists? No more questions. Okay. I hope that eventually our society will become a more inclusive society, more where we understand these things are very important. And don't be shy about it. It happens. Sex happens. It is part of life. You can't run away from it. No matter how much you try to hide it, but and yeah, I hope especially those who are going to be teachers, when you're going to school, if you're going to teach physical education and whatnot, please, if it's part of the syllabus, include it. I know from one syllabus, I remember looking at the book, there were hygiene and I forgot the syllabus actually. There was hygiene and personal, taking care of your personal well-being or something along that topic. You can include that when you're teaching PE. So I think that's all. Thank you very much to this group. I appreciate the topic brought up. Okay, I think that's all. We'll move to the next one, also an important topic. We'll go to that topic. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Okay,
The
thank you.
recording,
Yeah.
the recording, please YouTube and send it to me. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you. Okay. Bye
Thank
bye.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.